Commander Sarah Chen stared through the crystal-clear walls of the massive spaceship, watching Earth shrink into a tiny blue dot. Her heart was beating fast, but her face remained calm. As the first human diplomat to visit the Luminary Crystal Palace, she couldn't show any weakness. "This way, Commander Chen," chirped her guide, a tall, glowing alien named Rix. His skin sparkled with soft blue light as he walked, lighting up the transparent corridor. "The princess is very excited to meet you." Sarah straightened her dark blue uniform and followed Rix. She had studied the Luminary for months before this mission. They were a peaceful race of bioluminescent humanoids who had contacted Earth 6 months ago. Now, both species wanted to trade. Earth needed their advanced medical technology, and the Luminary wanted Earth's rich cultural database of art and music. The corridor opened into a massive round chamber. The walls, floor, and ceiling were made of the same crystal-like material, creating endless reflections. In the center stood Princess Tulara, and Sarah had to stop herself from gasping. The princess was tall, nearly 7 feet, with skin that glowed in shifting patterns of purple and gold. Her long hair looked like flowing strands of starlight. But what caught Sarah's attention most was her eyes. They were completely white, like moonstone, yet somehow Sarah knew the princess could see her perfectly. "Welcome, Commander Chen of Earth," Tulara said in perfect English, her voice musical and clear. "We have waited long to meet your kind face to face." Sarah bowed deeply, just as her training had taught her. "The honor is ours, Your Highness. Earth looks forward to building a strong relationship with the Luminary." The princess floated forward. Literally floated, her feet not touching the ground. She circled Sarah slowly, her glow brightening with what seemed like excitement. "Yes, yes. You are just as interesting as our scouts reported. Such complex brain patterns, such unique thought structures." Sarah stood still, remembering her training. The Luminary were known to be direct and curious. There was no need to feel uncomfortable under their examination. But then the princess said something that made Sarah's diplomatic training stumble. "You will share bed with me tonight, human." Sarah choked on air. Excuse me, Your Highness." "Yes." Tulara clapped her glowing hands together. "It is decided. You will share bed with me. It is our highest honor. Your mind patterns are so fascinating. I must experience them directly." The other luminary in the chamber were nodding and glowing brighter, as if this was the most natural request in the world. Rix was beaming with approval. Sarah's mind raced. This had not been in any of the cultural briefings. Was this some kind of test? A joke? Or worse, had Earth completely misunderstood luminary customs regarding personal relationships? "Your Highness," she said carefully, trying to find the right words, "I'm deeply honored, but I don't think, that is, on Earth, such a request would be." The princess's glow dimmed slightly. "You refuse." Her moonstone eyes widened. "But this is how we best learn of each other. How we share our deepest truths. How we build trust between peoples." Her voice carried genuine confusion and growing concern. Sarah could feel the atmosphere in the chamber changing. The other luminaries' lights were pulsing with what she guessed was anxiety. Whatever this request meant to them, her reluctance was clearly causing distress. She took a deep breath. 6 months of diplomatic preparations couldn't fail in the first 5 minutes. There had to be some kind of misunderstanding here. She just had to figure out what it was, preferably before she caused an intergalactic incident. "Perhaps," she said diplomatically, "Your Highness could explain exactly what sharing bed means in luminary culture." The princess's glow brightened again. "Of course. We will join in the sacred dream merge, sharing our minds while our bodies rest. How else could we truly know each other's hearts?" Sarah blinked. Dream merge. Sharing minds. That definitely hadn't been in the briefing. Sarah's head was spinning. Dream merge? Mind sharing. She opened her mouth to ask more questions, but before she could speak, another voice cut through the crystal chamber. "What is the meaning of this delay?" An older luminary floated into the room, his skin glowing deep red. His traditional robes sparkled like they were made from crushed diamonds. Why has the human not accepted our greatest honor? Princess Tilara turned to the newcomer, her own glow dimming to a soft purple. Father, I was just explaining. Explaining? The luminary king's light pulsed with what Sarah guessed was anger. There is nothing to explain. For 10,000 years, every major diplomatic meeting has begun with the royal dream merge. It is our way. Sarah watched in growing horror as more luminary officials floated into the chamber. Their combined glow was almost blinding now. Some were whispering to each other, their lights flickering in patterns she couldn't understand. Your Majesty. Sarah tried to sound calm. On Earth, the phrase sharing bed has a very different. The king's red glow intensified. Are you saying Earth's ways are too advanced for our primitive customs? No. Sarah held up her hands. Not at all. It's just that in our culture, that phrase means. She stopped, realizing explaining Earth's interpretation might only make things worse. Princess Tilara moved closer to Sarah, her glow gentle and concerned. Commander Chen, the dream merge is how we share our species' history, our hopes, our knowledge. Without it, how can we trust the humans truly wish for peace? Sarah felt trapped. If she refused, she might ruin Earth's chances for an alliance. If she accepted, well, she had no idea what actually happened in a dream merge, but it sounded dangerous. Nobody had told her anything about mind-sharing. One of the luminary officials floated forward, his skin flickering between green and blue. Perhaps, he said in a cold voice, the humans sent us someone without the authority to make real decisions. Someone they consider disposable. The accusation hung in the air like a physical thing. Sarah saw Princess Tilara's glow dim even further, and the king's red light turned almost crimson with offense. Wait, Sarah said quickly. That's not true at all. Earth considers this mission extremely important. I just need to contact my superiors and... Contact your superiors. The king's voice boomed through the chamber. So we are not worthy of speaking with you directly. We must wait while you check with your masters. This was going very, very wrong. Sarah could feel years of diplomatic work crumbling around her. She had to do something, fast. Your Majesty, she said, bowing deeply. I apologize for any offense. The fault is mine for not understanding the full meaning of the dream merge. Could you tell me more about it? How exactly does it work? The king's glow softened slightly. Princess Tilara brightened and moved to Sarah's side. The dream merge is sacred, Tilara explained softly. While we sleep, our minds join. We share memories, feelings, truths that cannot be hidden. It is how we know one another's true intentions. Sarah thought quickly. That didn't sound quite as bad as what she'd first imagined. Still, sharing minds. What if she thought something offensive? What if she accidentally revealed classified information? Has any human ever done this before? She asked carefully. The chamber went quiet. The luminary's lights dimmed as one. No, the king said finally. The last species that tried. Their minds could not handle the connection. They were never the same afterward. Sarah felt her heart skip a beat. Well, that explained why this hadn't been in the briefing. After the tense meeting, Sarah was shown to her quarters in the Crystal Palace. The room was beautiful, with walls that seemed to catch starlight, but she couldn't enjoy it. Her mind was too busy trying to figure a way out of this mess. A soft chime rang through the air. Commander Chen. It was Rix, the young luminary who had first guided her. May I enter? Come in, Sarah said, grateful for any chance to learn more about her situation. Rix floated in, his blue glow dimmed to a gentle nightlight. He carried what looked like a tray of glowing fruits. I thought you might be hungry after everything. Sarah accepted the tray with a thankful nod. Rix, can I ask you something? Why didn't anyone tell Earth about this dream merge custom before I came? The young luminary's glow flickered with what seemed like embarrassment. We thought it was obvious. It's like, he paused, searching for words. Don't humans share dreams with your friends? Share dreams. Sarah took a bite of the glowing fruit. It tasted like honey and starlight. No, when humans sleep, our dreams are private. And when we talk about sharing a bed, it usually means. She blushed and stopped talking. Rix's glow suddenly pulsed bright with understanding. Oh no. He started laughing, his light flickering like a disco ball. You thought the princess wanted to mate with you. Sarah nearly choked on her fruit. Well, what was I supposed to think? On Earth, if someone you just met asked you to share their bed. No wonder you looked so shocked. Rix was still laughing, his glow changing colors rapidly. Commander, the dream merge is nothing like that. It's here, let me show you something. He pulled out a small crystal and touched it. A hologram appeared, showing two luminary lying on separate beds, their glows mixing in the space between them. See, during the dream merge, we don't even touch. Our minds meet in the dream space while our bodies rest. He pointed to the flowing lights between the sleeping figures. We share memories, feelings, cultural understanding. It's how we build trust. Sarah watched the hologram carefully. But the king said the last species that tried this was never the same. What happened to them? Rix's glow dimmed slightly. The Zorak. Their minds were too rigid, too ordered. When they touched our dream space, they couldn't handle the flow of memories and emotions. It broke something in them. He brightened again. But humans are different. Your minds are so flexible, so creative. The princess says your thought patterns are unlike anything she's ever seen. Is that good or bad? Sarah asked. Good. Very good. A new voice joined them. Princess Tilara floated into the room, her glow soft and friendly. I'm sorry about earlier, Commander Chen. I should have explained better. Sarah stood and bowed, but the princess waved her to sit. Your Highness, I'm the one who should apologize. I completely misunderstood. Please, Tilara interrupted, her glow warm and amused. Call me Tilara. And your misunderstanding. It was actually quite funny once Rix explained it to me. Her light flickered with laughter. Though I must ask, do humans really propose mating so quickly after meeting someone? Sarah couldn't help laughing too. No, that's why I was so shocked by the invitation. The three of them sat there, sharing the glowing fruit and laughing about the misunderstanding. Sarah felt herself relaxing for the first time since she'd arrived. But then Tilara grew serious. Commander, Sarah, the dream merge is still very important to us. Without it, the trade agreement cannot move forward. I know it sounds scary, but would you be willing to learn more about it? Really understand what it means? Sarah looked at the princess's hopeful face, then at Rix's encouraging glow. Maybe, just maybe, there was a way to fix this diplomatic mess after all. Sarah spent the next few hours in her room, thinking hard about what she should do. The glowing fruit Rix had brought was long gone, and the stars outside her crystal window had shifted position. She couldn't put this decision off much longer. Her communicator beeped. Earth was calling for an update. Commander Chen reporting, she said, clicking the device on. Sarah, what's happening up there? General Rodriguez's voice crackled through. We're getting strange messages from the Luminary Council about refused honors and broken traditions. Sarah took a deep breath. Sir, there's something the briefings missed. The Luminary have a custom called the Dream Merge. It's a form of telepathic sharing that happens during sleep. There was a long pause. Telepathic what now? They want me to participate in it. Actually, they expect it. Without it, there's no trade agreement. Sarah rubbed her temples. Apparently, it's how they build trust between species. Absolutely not. The general barked. We know nothing about this procedure. It could be dangerous. It could be a trap. I'm ordering you to. Sarah clicked the communicator off. She'd probably get in trouble for that later, But she needed to think without Earth yelling in her ear. A soft knock interrupted her thoughts. Princess Tilara and Rix floated in, their glows gentle in the dim room. Sarah, Tilara said softly, using her first name. Have you decided? Instead of answering directly, Sarah asked, what exactly happened to the Zorak? The species that couldn't handle the dream merge. Rix and Tilara exchanged glances. Their minds broke, Rix explained. They only thought in straight lines, in perfect order. When they touched our dream space, all the emotions and memories. It was too much chaos for them. But human minds, Tilara added quickly, they're different. You think in spirals and zigzags. You can hold two opposite ideas at once. You dream naturally, wildly, creatively. Sarah stood up and walked to the crystal window. Earth was no longer visible from this angle, but she could see the stars stretching out forever. I'll do it, she said suddenly. What? Rix's glow pulsed with surprise. I'll participate in the dream merge. Sarah turned to face them. But I have conditions. Tilara floated closer, her glow brightening with hope. Name them. First, I want to understand exactly how it works, all the details. Sarah held up one finger. Second, I want to practice whatever mental techniques you use to control the experience. Another finger. And third, if anything starts to go wrong, you pull me out immediately. The princess's glow turned gold with happiness. Yes to all of it. I'll teach you everything myself. She spun in the air with excitement, leaving trails of light. Oh, this is wonderful. I'll tell father right away. After Tilara rushed out, Rix turned to Sarah. Are you sure about this? It's never been done successfully with a human before. Sarah smiled slightly. That's exactly why I have to try. Humans are good at doing things that have never been done before. It's kind of our specialty. She walked back to the window, watching the stars again. Earth might not understand her decision. The general would definitely be angry, but something in her gut told her this was right. Besides, she added softly, sometimes you have to take a leap of faith to build a bridge between worlds. Rix's glow warmed with admiration. The princess was right about humans being different. Most species would be terrified. Oh, I'm definitely terrified. Sarah laughed. But being brave isn't about not feeling fear. It's about doing what's right even when you're scared. She just hoped she wouldn't regret this decision when the actual dream merge began. Sarah sat cross-legged on a floating crystal platform, trying her best to concentrate. They had been practicing mental exercises for hours. Her head hurt, but she was determined to learn. Good. Tilara encouraged, her glow pulsing gently. Now try to hold that feeling while I send you a small memory. A tiny spark of light floated from Tilara's fingertip toward Sarah's forehead. As it touched her skin, Sarah suddenly saw a flash of color. A memory of Tilara as a child, playing in fields of crystal flowers. Wow! Sarah opened her eyes, breaking the connection. That was amazing. The flowers. They sang when you touched them. Tilara smiled, her glow brightening. Yes, that's exactly right. You're learning so quickly. Most species take days just to receive a single memory clearly. Rix, who was watching from the corner, floated closer. It's because humans naturally think in pictures and feelings. You don't try to organize everything into perfect logic like the Zorak did. Sarah stretched her tired muscles. They had been practicing in this special training room for most of the day. The walls were lined with soft, glowing crystals that helped focus mental energy, or so Tilara had explained. Can you tell me more about what happened with the Zorak? Sarah asked. I want to understand what to avoid. Tilara's glow dimmed slightly. The Zorak were brilliant mathematicians. Their minds worked like living computers. Everything had to be perfectly ordered and logical. When they joined the dream merge, they tried to organize and categorize all our memories and emotions. But you can't do that with feelings, Rix added. You can't put love or fear or joy into neat little boxes. Their minds couldn't handle the chaos of raw emotion. Tilara continued. They tried to force order onto the dream space, and it broke them. They became, she shuddered, her light flickering, empty, like machines. Sarah thought about this. But human minds are already chaotic, aren't they? We dream every night, and our dreams rarely make logical sense. Exactly. Tilara clapped her glowing hands together. Your minds are perfect for the dream merge because you naturally understand that not everything needs to make sense. You can accept mystery and contradiction. Sarah smiled. That's a nice way of saying we're messy thinkers. Beautifully messy, Tilara agreed. Now, shall we try something harder? I want to send you a more complex memory. Before they could continue, the door chimed. A royal messenger floated in, glowing formal purple. Your Highness, Commander Chen, the king requests your presence. The dream merge ceremony has been prepared for tonight. Sarah felt her heart jump. Tonight. But I thought we had more time to practice. Tilara touched her arm gently. You're ready, Sarah. You've learned more in one day than most learn in weeks. Besides, her glow turned playful. Humans are good at doing things that have never been done before, remember? Sarah laughed, remembering her own words from yesterday. You're right. And at least now I know you're not just trying to get me into bed. All the luminary in the room burst out laughing, their combined glow turning the chamber into a light show. Even the formal messenger couldn't help joining in. Come on, Tilara said, still glowing with amusement. Let's get you ready for the ceremony. And Sarah, she paused at the door. Thank you for trusting us. For trusting me. Sarah nodded, feeling surprisingly calm despite what was coming. That's what friends are for, right? Even if they're from different planets. The grand ceremonial chamber took Sarah's breath away. Thousands of floating crystals filled the air like stars, each one glowing with a different color. The room was circular, with a high dome that seemed to open directly into space. In the center, two crystal beds floated side by side, surrounded by soft, pulsing light. Are you nervous? Rix asked as he helped Sarah into a traditional luminary robe. The fabric felt like liquid starlight against her skin. Terrified, Sarah admitted, but also excited. Is that weird? That's very human of you, he said, his glow warm with friendship. The chamber doors opened, and Sarah's heart skipped a beat. Hundreds of luminary floated in, their combined glow creating waves of light across the walls. The king led them, his red glow now a dignified gold. Princess Tilara followed, wearing robes that matched Sarah's. Sarah stepped forward, remembering her diplomatic training. I am, Your Majesty. Tilara floated to her side. Father, I will guide her through the merge myself. The king nodded. Begin the ceremony. The floating crystals started to spin slowly, their lights dimming until the chamber was bathed in soft twilight. Sarah followed Tilara to the crystal beds, trying to keep her hands from shaking. Remember your training, Tilara whispered as they lay down. Don't try to control everything. Let your mind flow like water. Sarah nodded, taking deep breaths. The crystal bed was surprisingly comfortable, molding to her body like memory foam. She could feel it humming softly beneath her. Close your eyes, Tilara said gently. Feel the light around you. Sarah closed her eyes. The humming grew stronger, and she could sense the light even through her closed eyelids. It felt like floating in a warm ocean. Now, Tilara's voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. Let go. Suddenly, Sarah felt her mind expanding. It was like her consciousness was flowing out of her body, spreading like water. She almost panicked, but then she remembered her training. Don't fight it. Let it happen. Then she felt it. Another presence, warm and bright and friendly. Tilara's mind touching hers. Images began to flow between them. Sarah saw Tilara's childhood, running through crystal gardens. She felt the joy of first learning to float, the pride of mastering dreamwalking. She saw the luminary homeworld through Tilara's eyes, a place of endless light and beauty. In return, Sarah shared her own memories. The first time she saw snow, learning to ride a bicycle, watching rockets launch into space. The day she decided to become a diplomat. But something unexpected was happening. As their minds touched, their memories began to merge and create new patterns. Sarah's human creativity mixed with Tellura's luminary structure, forming thoughts and images neither of them had ever experienced before. The chamber erupted in gasps of wonder. The watching luminary could see the dream space above the beds glowing with unprecedented patterns and colors. "Incredible," the king whispered. "Their minds, they're dancing." Inside the merged dreamscape, Sarah and Tellura were making an amazing discovery. Human chaos and luminary order weren't opposites. They were complementary parts of a greater whole. Where they met, they created something entirely new. Sarah felt Tellura's excitement matching her own. This wasn't just a diplomatic ceremony anymore. This was first contact in its truest form. Two different species learning they were stronger together than apart. And they were only just beginning to understand what that meant. Sarah woke up slowly, her mind feeling both tired and energized, like after a really good dream. The crystal bed hummed softly beneath her. How long had she been asleep? Minutes? Hours? "Welcome back." Rix's friendly voice came from nearby. His blue glow was the first thing she saw as she opened her eyes. Did it work?" Sarah asked, sitting up carefully. Her head felt different somehow. Clearer, but also fuller, as if she had downloaded an entire library into her brain. "Work." The king's voice boomed with joy. "My dear commander, it did far more than work." Sarah turned to see the entire luminary court floating around her and Tellura, their lights creating a rainbow in the air. The princess was already awake on her crystal bed, her glow brighter than Sarah had ever seen it. "Sarah," Tellura floated over excitedly. "Your mind. It was amazing. Did you feel what happened when our thoughts merged?" Sarah nodded, memories of the dream merge flowing back. "It was like your ordered thoughts gave structure to my chaos, and my chaos gave your order new patterns to follow." "Exactly." Tellura spun in the air with excitement. "Watch this." The princess closed her eyes, and suddenly her glow began changing in completely new ways. Instead of the usual smooth color changes, it sparked and swirled in random, beautiful patterns, just like human thoughts. "I couldn't do this before," Tellura explained. "Our species always struggled to think in non-linear ways. But after connecting with your mind, I understand how to let thoughts flow freely." The king floated closer, his glow thoughtful. "And you, Commander Chen, what did you gain from the merge?" Sarah closed her eyes, exploring her mind. "Everything feels more organized, like I can think more clearly while still being creative." She opened her eyes and smiled. "It's like having the best of both our species' ways of thinking." "This is unprecedented," one of the court scientists announced, their glow flickering with excitement. The dream merge didn't just work, it improved both minds. Instead of the human mind being overwhelmed like the Zorak, it created a perfect balance with our consciousness. Rix was practically bouncing with joy. "Don't you see what this means? Humans and luminary, we're not just compatible, we're complementary. We make each other better." The king raised his glowing hands for silence. "Commander Chen, you have done more than just pass our test. You have shown us that humans and luminary can do more together than either species can do alone." He turned to the court. "The trade agreement will be signed immediately. But more than that, I propose we create a permanent dream merge exchange program." The chamber erupted in bright flashes of approval. Sarah felt a wave of relief and happiness wash over her. Not only had she not failed her mission, she had helped discover something revolutionary. Tellura grabbed her hand, the princess's glow synchronizing with Sarah's emotions in a way that would have been impossible before the merge. Think about it. Luminary learning human creativity, humans learning our mental organization. We could advance both our species. Sarah squeezed her friend's hand. And that's just the beginning. Once humans and luminary can truly understand each other's minds, She grinned. The possibilities are endless. Speaking of possibilities, Tilara said with a playful flicker of light, you should try floating now. What? Sarah looked confused. But humans can't. She stopped talking because she suddenly realized her feet weren't touching the ground anymore. Somehow, the dream merge had taught her body to understand how luminary floating worked. Well, Sarah laughed as she wobbled in the air. I guess we're just beginning to discover what our species can learn from each other. 1 month later, Sarah stood in the Crystal Palace's main hall, watching Earth ships arrive through the massive crystal windows. Each ship carried new human volunteers for the Dream Merge exchange program, their hulls gleaming against the starry background. Nervous about going home? Tilara asked, floating down beside her. After a month of practice, Sarah could now float as easily as any luminary, though she still occasionally bumped into things when distracted. A little, Sarah admitted. Earth's governments are still trying to understand everything that happened here. Some people are excited about the Dream Merge program. Others are scared of it. That's very human of them, Tilara said with a gentle glow. Being excited and scared at the same time. Sarah laughed. You're starting to sound like me. The Dream Merge really did change both of us, didn't it? It was true. After that first successful merge, Sarah and Tilara had continued practicing together. Each session made them stronger, blending the best parts of both their species' minds. Sarah could now organize her thoughts with luminary precision, while keeping her human creativity. Tilara had learned to think in new, less rigid ways, making her an even better leader for her people. Commander Chen, General Rodriguez's voice boomed across the hall. He had just stepped off one of the Earth ships, looking uncomfortable in the crystal surroundings. I hope you have a good explanation for ignoring my direct order a month ago. Sarah and Tilara exchanged amused glances. The general had been against the Dream Merge from the start, but now he was here to see it for himself. Actually, sir, Sarah said, floating down to meet him, I thought I could show you instead of tell you. The general's jaw dropped as he watched his previously earthbound officer floating in the air. How are you doing that? That's just a small part of what the Dream Merge can teach us, Sarah explained. Princess Tilara and I have prepared a demonstration for all the new arrivals. Right on cue, the hall filled with soft light as hundreds of luminary floated in, each one paired up with a newly arrived human volunteer. Tilara's father, the king, stood, or rather, floated, at the center. Welcome, people of Earth, the king announced, his glow warm and welcoming. Today marks the beginning of the largest cultural exchange program in either of our histories. Sarah watched as the human volunteers looked around in wonder. She remembered her own first day here, how scared she had been of the princess's innocent invitation to share bed. Now that misunderstanding had led to something amazing. Before we begin, Tilara addressed the crowd. We have a special demonstration. Commander Chen. Sarah nodded and floated up beside her friend. Together, they began to glow. Sarah using her newly learned luminary abilities, Tilara using the creative patterns she had learned from human thoughts. Their lights danced together, telling the story of their first meeting through color and movement. The crowd gasped in wonder. Humans had never glowed before Sarah. Luminary had never made such creative light patterns before Tilara. Together, they were showing everyone what was possible when two species truly shared their strengths. Well, I'll be damned, General Rodriguez whispered, his stern face softening. Maybe I was wrong about this whole thing. After the demonstration, Sarah and Tilara landed next to him. General, Sarah said with a smile, would you like to learn how to float? The old soldier looked up at the glowing ceiling, then at the luminary and humans preparing for their first dream merge. Finally, he cracked a smile. You know what? Yes, I would. Tilara's glow brightened with joy. In that case, General Rodriguez, would you share bed with me tonight? This time, everyone understood exactly what she meant.